This is Lord President Rassilon. Due to the interference of that idiot renegade, the Doctor, the universe is collapsing. Unfortunately, the Time Lords have no answer for this, and I am forced to call upon the services of Type 40 Podcast.
Time for Type 40 Live, kicking off the week on your live stream Doctor Who magazine show. The live stream Doctor Who magazine show materialising here on YouTube, Rumble and on Facebook, whichever platform, time stream or time zone you're joining us from. Welcome. Yeah, this is Type 40 Live, where we hit your view screen in real time, no less, and always in front of a live chat full of friends, fans and companions just like you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Getting closer. Nearly there, nearly at the 60th anniversary, everybody. Just a couple of weeks to wait, but it's coming thick and fast, isn't it? At long last. Stories were breaking as we were getting ready to come on air. We've grabbed together what we can and who we can. You're going to enjoy this, particularly if you get involved there over on YouTube, Rumble and Facebook, because this is where we cover not just this legendary TV series that's hitting its 60th birthday this month, but the whole Whoniverse around it, both on and off screen. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks. I'll find out who you are in a moment or two. Now, if you're on Facebook in the Type 40 Facebook group, yeah, you've got to hit the little blue link, remember, and then Facebook tells StreamYard who you are, and StreamYard tells us, yeah, we all get on first name terms to start the week in the console room here. I bet you've seen it all too. Haven't you? Little pictures that have turned up, posters, rumours, dates, all sorts of things, titles. We're going to get stuck into all of it, and we've got lots to pick up on from the week before as well. Got guests materialising. I'm not quite sure who's going to be here when, but we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants and wheeze and groan our way through a couple of hours worth of Doctor Who content and conversation. Please like the video now. You're going to be having far too much fun later on, let's face it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Check you're still subscribed and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what we're doing next and when we're doing it. Okay, let's warm things up a little bit with this. Yeah, it is. Now, there's not much seating space in this console room, is there? But it'll more than do. We've got all the new stuff. In fact, the view screen's not very big on this model, is it? But I'm sure we'll get by if we squint. You can get our thoughts on all the breaking stories. Okay, who first? Yes, she's here. She's back. She's present and reasonably correct. Well, if she's not correct, I don't know who is, to be honest, because she keeps the rest of us in line. I've got Charlotte Shields back.
I'm the responsible adult, aren't I?
Looks like it. Hiya.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see you. Yeah, here we are again. Another weekend gone. Did you have a good one?
Yeah, and it's like just when you think, oh, it'll calm down a bit. It's like, no.
Mm-hmm. You were saying you've been getting stuck into a new book.
Yes, I got my Doctor Who book and I've got it here. It's Peter Kay's latest book, and it's all his telly work. So he goes through, and so there is a bit about Doctor Who in there. There is a little bit.
The Absorbaloff himself.
Yep, he talks about that.
Well, you have to tell us about it when you've read it and get it all in, see what we can find out. Do you miss the old golden TARDIS there from back in the day, 2005, 2008, 2009?
I did like. I suppose this was my first TARDIS, so it's always going to have a place in my heart. But I do get it is a bit sparse, and it is like there's no seating. Like they probably had to just perch, I think, wherever they could. Yeah. In this TARDIS.
Secrete yourself in whichever aperture you could manage to squeeze yourself into. At the time, it looked huge, but now, it looks a little bit pokey compared to what we used to. We've got more people to bring on. He's back as well. I understand he's suffering with a cold, but he's made it anyway. We've got Ian David Diaz, the Mega Geek, as well.
Hello,
buddy. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's fine, mate. All right. Yeah, so you're suffering a bit. You're not a well child.
Yeah, just a little bit of a cold and stuff, but it's part of life, isn't it? Yeah,
this will warm you up. I know this isn't your. It will. Look how warm it is, like an open fire, isn't it? I know you don't like this console room very much, but it is warm.
It looks warm, but it's just. You know how I feel about this.
I know. I'm just winding you up this time. That's all. I'm winding you up because I know I can bring her on and she can sort us all out from bickering and everything like that. She sorts everybody out. It's our stream queen. This is what I'm going to start calling her. It's back from holiday too. It's Atomic Blonde LDN's Andy.
Hello. Hey everyone.
Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, my title is a bit lacking at the moment because I haven't watched anything really for a month. So I'm sort of glued trying to catch up on things and making sure I've got content.
You've been spending time in the real world.
I have, yes.
I told you about this. It's not wise.
It sucked big time. Yeah, so I'm trying to work through and catch up on finishing off some series I started before I went. And just trying to get back up to speed. And obviously, like I was just saying, the Doctor Who news keeps coming thick and fast, and there was a cracker today. So
Well, I have to say, I've got to confess something to you right now, Andy, because several people have said to me, because the various shows that we've done together, so we haven't seen Andy on the channel on any shows for a while. So well, she's on holiday, and they always ask you where's she gone. Everybody who's asked, I've told them a different place.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't remember where it was. So I said, Kuala Lumpur. Kenya, she's in Senegal. Yeah. So all these people, don't be surprised if some of them say, how was Kenya? How was New Zealand? How was the...
Yeah. Make it sound like she's been on the run more than on holiday.
I won't put it past that. What do you make of this console room then, Andy?
I like it. I'm sorry, but I'm a big Tennant fan.
I love it.
I really liked it, and there are seats. I mean, there's 2. You only need 2, and there's 2 more than you had in the original classic series. So what more do you need? But no, I always liked it. But I thought it really kind of fit the sort of Doctor's personality at the time with Eccleston, and on the back of the Time War. Well, he just chucks it over the thing, didn't he?
Where's the coat hanger?
He did have the hat stand in there, but you can't see it in this particular picture. It's stuck behind an aperture. But he did, you're right, Andy, he did throw it over the handrail more
every time he used to run in, he just and I think when you're younger as well, because that's the sort of thing you do when you're like a teenager, right? You just come in and kind of just lob it somewhere. You don't actually bother to hang anything up. So it's like, he's there with his Converse, lobbing his coat. You're just like, love it.
Am I right in saying that, because the TARDIS takes something big and shrinks it down, it can be inside the TARDIS. There's loads of different console rooms, isn't there? In the TARDIS,
Yes.
So at least 2.
I'm really surprised he actually chose this one, apparently, because this one, it looks a bit grungy and dirty and needs good cleaning.
I think the hint is, when you watch The Day of the Doctor, the hint is that it's whatever his priorities were at the time.
Yeah, I guess.
Home decor wasn't one of them.
Because I know
it's on the back of the Time War, isn't it? So it's going to be probably darker, and he had PTSD, and it's supposed to be like very different, is it? Because everything was like very bright in the TARDIS pre, and then post Time War, it kind of
Plus you've got to remember, like, this is an old model at this point. Like, this isn't a brand spanking new TARDIS. So I've almost thought this TARDIS reflects that quite nicely, that it's sort of like, it's past its prime a bit, but we love it because it's the TARDIS sort of feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, talking about brand spanking new,
there's loads of console rooms in the TARDIS, isn't it? Via Tom Baker, right?
All the old console rooms should be there, unless in some stories parts of the TARDIS have got jettisoned for various reasons. But otherwise, in theory, all the past console rooms are there somewhere.
Yeah.
Should be there. It's just a question if you can find them or not. Yeah. Talking about brand spanking new TARDISes and talking about big coats, we have this picture. So SFX magazine published a brand new edition just a few days ago, and within its pages are lots of exclusive nuggets and pictures, which including that coat we were talking about there. So David Tennant's brand new coat as the 14th Doctor in TARDIS blue. And this set, I don't think people have really noticed or realised that this is the set of the brand new TARDIS here as well. This is the first official picture from the new TARDIS set. So what do you think of this, Ian?
Looks okay. Looks like the circles from James Bond, but there you go.
He's in the gun barrel.
He's in the gun barrel, yeah. I mean, it's very sparse and there's nothing much on the walls, but I'm just looking forward to seeing the real TARDIS, the real new one.
Rest of it, yeah. Well, it looks to me like there's a sort of airlock hatch behind him there, Charlotte. That it looks like one of those doors that used to have on the space station on Deep Space Nine that would sort of open up and then close like that, like an iris.
I'm getting retro vibes, like that sort. And it's interesting because we were debating, weren't we? Because it was like, is Tennant going to have this new inside by the time we see him on screen? Because it was always very much talked about as almost, Shooty's inside. So I remember that was a debate, and now it's nice to know, no, we are going to see this brand new interior from the specials. Because obviously the outside stayed the same. So that's going to be always an interesting plot point. Why is the outside stay the same, but the inside's remodeled?
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose that has been the case to some extent during the classic show, but not so drastically. But I was looking at, obviously, we've got the previous one up there from 2005, 2006, and that was very, very warm. This looks positively ice cold, doesn't it, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember if the images we saw a while ago were the real ones or made up ones, but it did sort of seem to be going back to that much more clinical, bright, classic kind of but updated modern look with a bit of budget, rather than the old sort of plastic stuff we used to have. So but yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised they changed the interior because everything we've sort of seen, and like even the conversations we had about it being season 1, that they're very much trying to draw a line in the sand. So I could see that they wouldn't want Jodie's interior, because they're really trying to make a real, delineation between these two things, or the 60th and the new season's coming.
There was no chance. There was never any chance of that being held over anyway for a multitude of reasons.
It was absolutely hideous. It's just, like everything else. But
whole aesthetic. Yeah. This is absolutely fantastic. This is just one of many images that are exclusive to SFX, which is currently in the shops. If you're lucky enough to find it, it's sold out in a lot of places. It's sold out online, but you can find them in supermarkets and news agents. If you get lucky. I haven't even had a chance to open mine yet, but I have managed to get one. We're just 2 weeks out from the 60th anniversary event mini-series, even kicking off with the 14th Doctor and Donna and the TARDIS. Yeah, that shell, it's the same shell. I always liked that TARDIS anyway. I was always fine with that. I'm perfectly happy with them keeping that. And whatever that sort of amorphous mass is behind them there. So this is all very well and good, but I think we were a little bit fed up of looking at this same image over and over again, week in, week out, weren't we, Charlotte? We've got a brand new one today. This was dropped about an hour and a half ago as of time of recording. So we've got this fabulous picture from Lee Binding, this glorious poster, again featuring
I love that. I love just how you've got that. It's like a bobblehead almost version of the toy maker.
Yeah.
And
you've got all the stuff exploding almost around them.
And the Doctor as well. It looks like a bobblehead as well.
It's very, very cartoonish, isn't it, Ian? Very exaggerated, like a comic book cover.
Yeah, it's like it's got a fisheye lens on the Doctor for some reason. Yeah. So it's okay though. I mean, it's very comic bookish.
I absolutely love this. I have to be honest.
Who's
It's elements
the,
from all 3 episodes as well. If you look around the outside, Andy, elements from all 3 installments of the miniseries are there.
I was just trying to see who's on that TV screen. It looks a bit like Vicky, but I can't.
I want to see what that robot is. I want to know what that robot is. I want to know that story because that story is intriguing.
The Blue Yonder, yeah.
Well, the TV screen is from John Logie Baird's first ever TV transmission.
Okay.
So the puppet that he used to make the first transmission. The triangular bits of junk, bits of spacecraft, and it could be some sort of puzzle. I'm not sure what they are. They look as if they're attached to that robot in some way. We've got Beep the Meep spacecraft is there on the right behind Beep the Meep. But I'm wondering what those lighting panels are inset into squares. That's the strangest thing, isn't it, Charlotte? Could they be elements of the new TARDIS?
There may be, but I was just thinking we've seen a lot of shots of him in some sort of spaceship, haven't we? Like in the trailer.
Yeah.
And in some of the pictures where he's like running around like a maniac and stuff's exploding almost. So maybe they're from this set, which we've seen quite a bit of now.
Could be. Still no bow ties, though, Charlotte. It's not.
Oh. I'm still holding out hope. It's slowly dying, but I'm still holding out hope.
Is there any information about how or why he gets regenerated and wears that costume as he got regenerated? No, okay.
No, not as yet. I believe, Ian, that it will be part of the story. I believe that the toy maker, either the toy maker has interfered with the regeneration.
Yeah.
And sort of kickstarted it, sort of induced it, or the TARDIS herself has. Because we know from past stories that the TARDIS is part of the regeneration process, that symbiotic link with the Time Lord. So it's possible that she could be involved. And she may have even selected the face, Andy.
Possibly, or it's I mean, it's going to be something along those lines, or something that incarnation of the Doctor knows or experienced that the other, that particular incarnation. So it's very relevant to him, and obviously they're sort of hinted at this whole destiny and it being linked to Donna.
Yeah.
So that it kind of has to be that face almost to trigger whatever it is the Toy Master wants to happen. Now, whether that's he just wants to, kill Donna, who knows?
The thing is,
there's that whole thing she can't see him.
You'll have to get behind Matt Pott in the queue to do that.
We do know that there's some kind of transfer between David Tennant and Shooty, because obviously when Shooty says, "What the hell is going on?" he's wearing his tie, isn't he? He's wearing David Tennant's tie. So it's either that he regenerates from David Tennant to Shooty, or it's the Toy Masters made everybody believe that Shooty looks like David Tennant.
Oh, that's a bit high concept for me, buddy. I can take people changing their appearance in a flash of light, but all that sounds far too complex.
I also wondered, like, if they were going to change like backwards and forwards, like the regeneration doesn't set. So it's like David, and then it's Shooty, and then it's David, and then it sort of settles on David, and then he finally regenerates fully into.
That would
Shooty.
be amazing.
Yeah, I thought that'd be really cool, because then you got 2 doctors in it effectively, right?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Sounds like it'd make me bilious. I'd rather just change and stay changed. But so this is the brand new poster from Lee Binding. They dropped it earlier today. It's the proper one for the full event miniseries, and it's having its premiere tonight. So these are images from the press screening tonight. All the journalists and genre press are there. It's at Battersea, Ian. So it's
a Battersea Power Station, isn't it?
Yeah.
The do up. Wow. Oh, the cinema right at the top. In fact, right. The cinema right at the top. You can see
that from your bedroom, yeah?
No, I've been there. The cinema right at the top is so high that you get scared when you look over those balcony. It's incredible. Wow. Yeah, so they literally have put the cinema right at the top. It's the highest thing you could ever get to in Battersea Power Station. It's very scary when you look down from those railings. I'm quite surprised they haven't got any protection. You could just like fall over. So that's where they're screening it, in that cinema, in the Battersea Power Station cinema. Wow, that's great, because Battersea Power Station cinema is not part of Cineworld or View or anything like that. It's its own thing. So
it's like an independent cinema.
Yeah. So that's great.
Well, you could be interested to learn that images are starting to come out from it as well. So there's evidently a lot of people there. I mean, they can't take any pictures of what's on screen, but they'll, they have to say that they're there. You should.
If I knew that was on, I should have went.
So is it one special they're screening tonight, or is it?
I wouldn't. There is no way they're going to show all three.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
Not a chance in hell. So, and I can't believe that they'd show two either, particularly as the second one is the one that's shrouded in the most mystery. So I believe it'll just be the first one. That is an hour, isn't it? And there'll probably be some sort of Q&A afterwards. One of the stars is there. Beep the Meep's there in person-ish, sort of. I think it looks like Beep's seen better days, but it looks like squatting down to perform. Yeah, but leave Beep in peace for that. So that's all kicking off at the moment over at Battersea by Ian, and never mind, mate. Maybe get invited to the next one.
If you ever get a chance to go to Battersea Power Station, all you have to do is look up and see where the cinema is, and I dare you to go all the way up those stairs and go right at the top. I swear you'd be really scared when you look down.
Yeah, I don't feel good just you explaining it to me, quite honestly. In fact, to take my mind off it, I think we should go and have a word with all our friends, fans and companions there in the live chat and see what they've got to say about all of this nonsense that we're going on about. Okay.
Welcome to Type 40.
Hello.
Hello, everybody, one and all. Welcome to Type 40 Live for a Monday evening. We've got lots of comments to get through. Thanks for being here, everybody. And thank you for your patience. Good evening, everyone. We've got John Yulden. Hi, John. See you there, mate. Hope your week's got off to a good start. Peter Harrington's here too. Charlotte with a hello all.
Oh, a new picture as well, I think.
It's a nice one, isn't it? It's got Tom there in the dead centre. He looks a bit purple. Like a Quality Street, big Quality Street, doesn't he, Andy?
I'm sure Tom Baker would love to be referred to as a Quality Street.
Yeah, he certainly is quality in my view. Scottish Davros is in. That's Daniel Leach. Yeah, mate,
Hey,
Daniel Leach.
Dan.
Panel and
doing,
plot
mate?
of this TARDIS. I think he means pilot. Sadako24 says hi all.
Hi, Sadako.
Hello.
They're very economic on syllables. It's Sadako. Ulrich de Costa's in with a yo. That's even shorter. Yo. Somebody called us dudes the other day, Andy. I was made up. Good afternoon from Redhead Redemption. So that's time zones being what they are. It's morning for some people, afternoon for others. But good to see you here, Redhead. Wendology's in as well with an evening all. So is Woodhouse 122 evening all. T-Dwarf Productions is also in the house. That's Tom, isn't it? Tom, the model maker. Hello, everyone. Not long now till London Comic Con. When is that, Ian? Are you going this time? You sometimes go to those, don't you?
I usually get dragged by my nieces. I don't know whether they're going this year, but they'll probably be coming to Uncle Ian to get their costumes. So
He loves it, really.
No, they're fun. Definitely, it's fun. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Kelly says, "Hey, everyone."
Hi, Kelly.
And Cyberman Strikes is just a hello, everyone. So it's along similar lines, walking a similar line there. Ciao from Ada McGee. Does that mean goodbye?
It's hello and goodbye.
That's a bit, yeah.
What have we done? Oh, hello and goodbye. Oh, there goes what I know.
That's proper time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say it for either.
When you're saying goodbye before you've said hello, that's very River Song, isn't it? Doctor Who press launch this evening at Battersea, informs Woodhouse 122. It's funny you should say that, Woodhouse. We've just been talking about that. Hail everyone from Lord Thoth. Happy belated birthday to our mate Lord Thoth.
Why do they choose Battersea, though? That's the question.
Well, why not? They were probably hoping you'd turn up, buddy.
No, thanks.
It was a hint. Cheers, you're from Clint. Cliff Maxwell.
Cliff.
Clint's probably here too. Paul Flint's in. No, Paul Flint. Hi. Time Lord 2023 says, "Hi, Type 40 gang. I'm so looking forward to the 60th anniversary specials, and I'm also enjoying every live stream." Well, you can stay. You can come again.
We like you.
Thank you for that.
I hope it's referring to our live stream being better than any other live stream. I'm
what other live streams? I don't know what you're talking
about. He says he's enjoying the live streams. So
howdy, folks.
Hello.
From Grand Moff Miranda.
Hello. How are you?
The cowboy motif is sticking lately, isn't it? We had somebody on last week. Adam came in actually dressed as Woody from Toy Story. It was extraordinary. We've gone from policemen to cowboys. Brilliant stuff. Love and Monsters. People talking about love. You on about Peter Kay, weren't you? Yeah, Love and Monsters. Hi, Mega Geek from Paul Flint.
Hey, Bill.
Your fans are in here.
Yeah, mate.
And an evening from the Darren Zone. Well, yeah, there's others. There's definitely others. And talking about the TARDIS console rooms, the desktop themes. John says, in the words of the Fifth Doctor, it's worse than the leopard skin theme. Which episode was that from? Which Doctor said that? I can't quite remember.
The Fifth Doctor.
Doctor, you saying the fifth?
Yeah, it was in Time Crash. Something like that. Greetings from real life Dr. Alex. Good to see you too there, mate. Hope you're having a good evening. It's like a cathedral. Well, they all are these days. I think Peter's talking about TARDIS is how they've expanded. They have changed the desktop theme. But Grand Moff Miranda is a traditionalist and prefers the white one with the roundels and the wobbly pink thing in the middle. That, you're describing something else there, but I think I know what you mean. This always looked like, so this is from Gary Akers, Retro Doc. This always looked to me like a 21st century version of the secondary control room from season 13. So he's talking about, I don't know about that. I mean, there's handrails. There's handrails. Other than that, I can't really see much of a similarity there, but obviously...
be doing... Oh, sorry, carry on. I'll ask this question after you've done this.
Go on.
No, I was just saying, do you reckon they're going to be doing the things that they've been doing in the Marvel films, like the Doctor Who console will have the 3D thing where they, when Iron Man's doing his stuff and he throws up the 3D thing and he starts moving things around and stuff. Do you reckon Shooty's going to be doing that in the new TARDIS?
I think there will be some of that, but I hope there's not too much of it.
Yeah, so do I.
Because I like flicking switches and turning dials and stuff.
Yeah.
So I hope it doesn't go too far down that road, because the previous production under the World's Worst Showrunner, Chris Chibnall, they had a lot of that.
Did they?
Sort of smoky screens and things and circular.
Yes, you would have screens.
It never really worked, did it, Charlotte? Never really.
I never
saw
it.
No, especially you had a certain gormless doctor looking at them, which didn't help. So
doesn't.
No.
It doesn't help.
Are you insulting someone there, Charlotte?
It's blue, says Ian Gettings. Do you mean the coat or the TARDIS? Let's know. But I suppose they both were. A nice coat. It's cold outside. It's cold outside. Very, very cold outside. Aidan McGeer says, I love that corridor. I can't wait to see the full version. Particularly can't wait to explore it in the Who Field mod.
That's gaming, Dan. That's gaming.
Yeah, I need help. Yeah. I'll just nod. I agree completely, Aidan.
What's gaming anyway? Carry on.
No idea. So we've got similar comments here from Aidan, who says that given the lighting appears to be blue light, it's weird that they still have the lighting on the exterior to indicate a yellow light interior. Apart from that one, so you see, I think the lighting could change. It could constantly change, but I think the lighting, I wouldn't read too much into that because of post-production here, and that's your field, isn't it? You probably tell us whether that's likely or not. Yeah. Scott's in the chat from the Game Closet says, I love his new threads.
There's something Scottish about it, don't you think? The
tartan,
because he's wearing it's plaid, isn't it? But it's close enough. It's close enough. And we've got to get this a good one. Oh, yeah, Stooky Bill. That's the name of the puppet on the TV screen we were talking about there, Andy.
Okay.
That's what he's on about. So that is this here on the right. That's what he's talking about. And Retro Doc Gary Akers suggests that Meep is standing on the 8 card. Doesn't that mean that Paul McGann will appear? So people are decoding.
That'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah. I'd love it for him to appear. It'd be brilliant.
You can actually see the new roundel in Tales of the TARDIS. It's behind Ace in one of the promo pictures, says Aidan. He's been looking very, very closely. I felt quite smug because I spotted in Tales of the TARDIS they got the jukebox that's going to be in the 15th Doctor's TARDIS. That is also in there as well. So I was feeling quite smug about that. But yours is even better. No, I hadn't seen that at all. And there's the TARDIS does have access to all-time foresight and hindsight, so she knows something is afoot. Hence the Dr. Donna maybe, says Game Closet Scott. So I think we're all on a similar page here, aren't we? Michael asks, is it North London, Ian?
No, South.
South London.
South.
About south as you can go on the Northern Line, which Which is confusing
South,
because it's on the northern line. It's on the northern line, isn't it? So it's confusing, but it's about as south as you can go.
That's right, yeah.
We've got a hello from Psychic Beats and a hello chat and hello amazing panel from Garbage. Thank you. Thank
I
you.
am, but I don't know about the rest. So there you go.
You're so modest, so modest.
Keep the comments coming, everybody. We really appreciate them. Some praise will be redacted because we have got to move on, but thank you. It is appreciated. And yeah, if you like it that much, please like the video. If you haven't already, like it now. We'll wait. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get the notifications about what's going on next and what we're up to, podcasts and live streams and everything else. And yeah, we've got our eyes all over the view screen about what's going on out there in the Doctor Who universe as well. There's been quite a lot. There's been ever such a lot. And I think the best place to start is probably here.
Click the buttons! Click the buttons! Like and subscribe! Click the buttons! Click the buttons! Like and subscribe! Like and subscribe!
Go on, say something here. You know you want to, buddy.
Seriously. The phones are killing just killing people. That's all it's doing.
I know what you're thinking here. I'm wondering what's been trending in Doctor Who over the weekend.
Well, let's find out, shall we?
Of course you have. Yeah, so yeah, people have been glued to their phones and watching the hashtags to see what's going on across the Whoniverse this weekend. And the truth is that the people were packing out the rows at the Genesis Cinema in London over the weekend when an army, by the looks of things, an army of Doctor Who fans filled this venue for a 14-hour official hashtag Dr. Donathon event. Many of the attendees broke up the day to share their progress from the aisles and the lavatories as they made their way through the entire story of the Doctor and Donna Noble to date in this mass real-life watch-along on the 4th of November. It was a giant global event, so all fans could join in and stream the episodes at home. You didn't have to be at the cinema to join in with this. And the BBC, they shared the schedule. They put it all out on social media so you could follow it along from kickoff. So had you seen this, Ian? Were you aware this was going on?
Nope, was not aware of it going on. I do like I didn't like Donna at first when she was first on. Thought she was very irritating and not funny. But then she grew on me when she came back as the official companion, and they were comedic duo, weren't they? Those two,
they were.
Yeah, and for me, she's one of the best companions because she's not sucking up to the Doctor. Really, she's really irritating though. She's still irritating. She did come back, but you kind of appreciate it.
So does the idea of sitting and watching every episode featuring the Doctor and Donna, the 10th Doctor and Donna, throughout an entire day in a darkened room, is that something that you would conceive of doing?
Not really. No. If it was, I don't know. It's just Donna. I just don't like her character. I don't understand why anyone would warm to her. Even though I liked the humor when she was officially the companion, I still thought she was irritating and annoying. But that's me. I'm sure a lot of people.
I think the idea was that we were supposed to accept her for her flaws as well as her good points. Would you say that's near the mark, Andy? What did you think?
I like Donna, I have to say, because I think and you really sort of see her character evolve. Because, like I say, I think she's very one-dimensional in the Runaway Bride. She's very gobby. But then when she actually joined, and as you go through it, and actually and he talks about all that bravado that she has, and she's loud and she's brash, but a lot of that actually is because she's just massively insecure. Because her mother's just vile to her constantly and telling her how useless she is. So a lot of that is all just sort of armor, isn't it, to protect herself? But she's actually quite vulnerable underneath it all. And I thought they really showed that really well by sort of Stolen Earth and Journey's End. With the Metacrisis doctors talking to her, and you kind of see all of that. So I really like the evolution of Donna, and like you say, the fact that she wasn't infatuated with the Doctor. She couldn't even see. she couldn't even see why anybody would even fancy him. To her, she was just like, "What the, you're
He's a
too
creature
skinny.
of some kind."
Yeah, you're too skinny, and I'm not going to mate. You're
so,
not
Andy,
mating with me, mate.
do you think it could have been one of those things which the lady doth protest too much, that she might have actually found him attractive?
Yeah, she did.
Never wanted to go there.
She did. It was obvious that she did.
I don't think she did, actually. I thought it was really like, he's just, you look at her type, he's not her type at all. I think, like I say, I think their friendship was lovely. I think she loved him like a best friend or a brother, I think, but I don't think she ever romantically saw anything in the Doctor at all.
I don't know. A lot of people fall in love even if they don't fancy someone physically. It's just something about them. Yeah. And they're destined to be friends. But it was obvious that she loved him, not in that kind of way.
And he loved her as well, because that's why it was so heartbreaking at the end when he had to take all her memories away, because she'd done all these amazing things, and he found a best friend, which is something you've never seen a Doctor have before, because supposedly the Master was his friend and betrayed him, right, from the lore that we've sort of heard. So to finally have like a best friend who sort of had his back and could rein him in, which is really what he needs. Because she really stood up to him, didn't she? Whereas sometimes like Rose and Martha kind of backed away a bit because they did fancy him, where she'd just turn around and just tell him straight when he's being out of order. And
they don't cultivate that kind of relationship very often with the Doctor and a companion. For a number of reasons, I think a lot of the time, simply because the visual age difference is so great. But it did work particularly well with these two characters, and it does have that beautiful arc, even though it was separated by an entire season. The Runaway Bride obviously went straight to Smith and Jones, so we got a big gap, but it does all sort of line up, and the character's got this wonderful, wonderful arc. And I know this is something that a lot of people hold very, very dear and are a little bit worried about for when the characters do meet again. But I suppose the idea of this event was to get people, not to get them up to speed, but to refresh their memories and to put people back in that place where the show, well, it was the biggest show on TV, and they published the schedule here that people could follow along with on social media. This is intense. I am not a binge watcher, Charlotte. Quite frankly, this scares the life out of me just looking at it. And I love Series 4. Is this something that you would do, or do you ever sit at home and just binge through an entire season of anything?
Not a whole season. Like sometimes I watch a couple if they're sort of linked episodes, especially with New Who, because the shorter length, it's easier to do. But I think it'd be fun to be around fans. That's probably what would be the thing that would interest me more than anything, to be that shared all sat.
Did I screen it in the cinema, by the way?
Yeah, being that physical presence.
This was the cinema.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah. I would have seen it in the cinema. The reason why I would have seen it in the cinema is because of the fans. People talking to people about Doctor Who. That's always great, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what. And I think with the other watch-alongs, they were all online.
Yeah.
So we didn't have the physical aspect. Whereas this is a more traditional sit-down one, which is brilliant.
We did have friends. There were some of our friends were there. Harry Palmer was there. He was there with Crystal D. I know he's a good friend of his, and so was Dominic Martin, another friend of the show. So there's lots of people that we recognised were there. But I noticed, you see, there's little breaks dotted around between. You get a couple of episodes and a break, and the breaks are like sometimes 15, 20 minutes. So it would be tolerable, Yeah,
I mean, I went to see what was it, 4 Star Trek movies in a row. And
really?
Yeah, with Keith. And the thing is, though, best thing about that is you're with the fans, and it's really great when you have the break. You're drinking, you're laughing with them, and you reminiscing and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm all for stuff like that. I didn't know it was shown in the cinema. Otherwise, I would have went.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was there. It was all kicking off, and people were making themselves obviously quite as comfortable as they could, because they were there for the day, and there's pictures all over social media from it as well. So here you can see people sat down comfortably. I don't know. I mean, maybe they'd sort of drift around a little bit if there's one episode that you're more familiar with than others, or you see some of your mates. I don't know. I haven't spoken to anybody yet who went. I spoke to a couple of people from before when they said they were going. But depends how familiar you are with the material. It's sort of a mini convention after a fashion, isn't it? That's part of the appeal.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Garbage says, I can't binge watch anything. I even waited for the Snyder Cut of Justice League to come out on Blu-ray so I could watch 4 hours over the week.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I binge stuff all the time, as you know. It's one
we do.
I do. Yeah. I mean, things I can just it's coming up to my annual Supernatural rewatch, and I do that in December, and I'll literally watch a season a day. and just go through it. Yeah,
and there's
probably over 2 days. Over 2 days.
13, 14 seasons of that.
15 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
it's intense.
Yeah, but I normally, I mean, they're 22 episodes, so it's like a season over 2 days. So over like 2 weeks off, I can get that most of the way through. So, but I can just sit there and binge. If it's good, I can just watch stuff back to back to back to back. So I would love that.
Tony L says, "Hi everyone, I watched all of the episodes at home on Saturday. It went really quick. I enjoyed it, and I had popcorn, dips, and chips."
Exactly. It's like you just get your drink of choices lined up, get your food sorted, put your feet up, boom, go. Especially now it's streaming, you haven't even got to go and change the DVD anymore. So
Oh, yeah, sounds like Tony's had a bloody good time there. Fair enough. Peter Harrington says there used to be all-nighters years ago. 3 Alien movies, I remember, and 3 Star Wars movies, Ian.
I went to those. I went to those. That's insane. They're great. It's great because I said because of the community. That's the reason why people should go, because the community's there and you have a lot of fun talking to people and stuff like that. I miss that actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Ian Getting says I've watched odd series, but often I don't ever go back to those series. Depends how odd they are, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean. There, first 4 Star Trek movies. Asks Lord Thoth.
Star Trek, those Star Trek movies are fantastic. They didn't show number 5, would you believe? So, but
it would have been the Genesis trilogy up to there, I suppose.
Yeah.
So,
I am a fan of physical media still, so I do prefer grabbing a disc and slamming it in the tray. Well, dropping it in the tray. But yeah, I do. I understand the appeal of streaming. Of course, I do. And yeah,
I've got them all on DVD. Obviously, I've got all 15 seasons. But I think it's also on Amazon Prime. So if I'm being like, I could just, just push the button.
If you were there at the Genesis Theatre at the cinema there for the Dr. Donathon, let us know in the live chat or drop us a comment too, or share your pictures. Instagram and X at Type40 Doctor Who. We'd love to see some more. And for the people who did make it there, they got they got an extra treat from the Doctor himself. Check this out.
Well done, working hole. And many of you really sat there for 14 hours. Well done. Thank you. Thank you for joining in the Dr. Donathon here at the Genesis Cinema. It's been a blast, and make sure you tune in to the Dr. and Donna's newest adventures. It's the 60th anniversary specials on the 25th of November.
So why didn't they do his hair like that? Crazy.
You preferred his hair in that
clip. Yeah. Why did they stick his hair up with the? Anyway, carry on. Just
maybe they were sponsored by the product. For all we know.
Maybe. Who knows? But what a nice thing to do, though, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry.
Do you know what I love about that? It's Doctor Who getting involved with the fans again.
Yeah.
It's people from the production team. It's the current actor actually talking to fans, actually almost reaching out. And obviously, it's a clip, it's a video, but it feels like the Doctor's speaking to you. And I bet
you didn't come on and go, "This wasn't made for you."
Yeah, exactly. It just shows respect and love. And I just think we've been missing that for so long. It's lovely to see it again.
It is. It is fantastic. Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Charlotte. Totally.
I love this comment here. We've got a great one from Darren in the live chat. Many years ago, our local cinema did an On the Buses movie marathon.
Fantastic. Right, Blakey.
You probably couldn't even show them now, I doubt. It's like...
No, Cybermat Strike says, I hate fans like Ian talking through a marathon.
I don't talk for a marathon. I really don't.
I don't believe him, Cybermat Strikes. We'll have to find out one day, won't we? We'll have to do a Type 40 marathon of some kind. It's not just the disc that makes physical media so great. It's the beautiful cover art, picture and audio, says John Yordan. I very much agree with you. If I can't dust it, I don't own it. That's what I always say. Yeah, so keep those comments coming, everybody. We are a fortnight away from the Doctor and Donna resuming their adventures, believe it or not. I can't wait to see this story pick up. I'm really excited about it. I know some people are a little bit knocked, and again, I get why. But really, this is the writer who created both characters and the original actors too. So I would imagine that we're going to be in for a treat after all. So I'd say that you can be you can relax. That would be my advice. But obviously we're getting, in case you hadn't noticed, it's getting a bit chillier out there. It's getting a lot colder as we get into winter. And so yeah, the Christmas season is even on the horizon. Now, I don't generally start thinking about Christmas until midway through December. But as a Doctor Who fan in 2023, again, people have been talking about Christmas pretty much all year because everybody's missed the Doctor Who Christmas specials. I don't think I've come across a Doctor Who fan who sincerely, I've heard people say, oh, the Christmas special episodes, they're not the best. Well, you know, that's completely subjective. But I think most people realise, Charlotte, that doing away with those for some random arbitrary reason that was farted into existence by a complete numbskull was very detrimental to this brand, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was a special bit of Doctor Who for a lot of people that we got that special. That Doctor Who got the slot and that it got its own special moment in the Christmas lineup. And yes, they varied in quality, but I think some of the best modern Who stories have been Christmas specials, whether you've looked at Moffat's or Russell's run. So they could be brilliant because it was also, what I loved about them most, I felt like the Christmas specials, when they were perfect, they had just the right amount of sort of camp, silly, and fun, and then it would get a bit more emotional and a bit more sort of, not teary, but no, let's get a bit heavier in the best way.
Yeah,
so when
they take you all around the houses and punch all your buttons, Andy. What's wrong with that?
Nothing. I mean, like you say, they came up with a really stupid reason, but we all know the reason was it's just nobody was watching it. That was the real reason, and they didn't want to come out and say that, right? So there's not enough ratings to have it on Christmas Day anymore, and they just haven't got the balls to come out and say it. So they're putting a lot of faith. I mean, to be fair, I didn't think they were going to say anything until they saw the ratings for the specials as to whether it was be Christmas Day or not, because they had a chance to back out of it. But obviously, Disney's let the cat out of the bag.
Well, they're doing, generally speaking, though, the commitment to Christmas was a condition. Again, another condition of Russell T Davies returning. Yeah, so this is what I'm trying to get around to. So, yeah, Disney Plus may not have the Tales of the TARDIS spin-off show. We went through that last week. It's exclusive to the BBC's domestic Doctor Who hub on iPlayer, the BBC Whoniverse thing. But Disney did exclusively let slip the title of the 2023 Christmas special today. It accidentally got given away on a graphic. I don't think they really realised it was supposed to be a secret. They put it out on their social media. Now, do things happen by accident in 2023 in the multimedia age? I don't know. Maybe they were trying to get back at the BBC for all the bad press and all the inquiries they'd had about when they were going to get the content that was exclusive to the iPlayer. I don't know. But yeah, this was released on Twitter earlier on today from Disney Plus, seasons trimmings, and it's got little things here. So they've got the Santa Claus's season 2's listed, Christmas with Walt Disney, Diary of a Wimpy Kid at Christmas, and all these other various things. But if we go in a little closer, we can see right there, Doctor Who Holiday Special. What's wrong with the word Christmas? In fact, where is the word Christmas on this damn thing?
It's Disney. It's banned.
Well, it says Christmas with something.
You can see it here and
it's all happy holidays, isn't it, in America? Because they don't.
The Nightmare Before Christmas. Doctor Who Holiday Special, confirming what we already knew, that air date of the 25th of December, and also giving us a title for the very first time too. So the Christmas special is going to be called The Church on Ruby Road.
I can imagine BBC being a bit nuts because they were probably planning a big Radio Times announcement cover.
I'd say they were, yeah.
And now the cat's out of the bag. So I bet there's been a few phone calls backwards and forwards. Someone on Twitter put a great clip. They took a clip from The Thick of It. And you basically see Malcolm like taking a phone call, and he's like, "I'm on my way," and he's storming down to try and stop the politician from saying something they shouldn't. There goes this, that, and which. But Russell T Davies, when he found out Disney had made the announcement, so it was just really, really funny. But I can imagine the BBC are not going to be happy, or Bad Wolf is not going to be happy.
I don't think there's anybody more secretive about their entertainment, about Doctor Who in particular, than the BBC. And I think Disney, because obviously Disney have a different way that they structure and market. I think they're going to be mystified why they can't publicise something like this that's going to be broadcast in about 6 weeks. So it is only a TV show at the end of the day. I think sometimes that the BBC has lost perspective of this completely, that everything's got to be so completely locked down. And to be honest, as a fandom too, I think we've got a little bit precious about what we constitute, what we designate as a spoiler. I don't think this is a spoiler at all.
No, I'm fine to find out the name of it, but I'm just like, there's obviously BBC have probably got a lot of plans and publicity and stuff that's already paid for, that is now not necessarily going to have the launch that they were hoping it was going to have, right? Because they're really sort of betting on this, aren't they, to be their cash cow again?
Yeah, yeah. We've got some comments here. I love the Christmas specials. I've got my Doctor Who Christmas jumper ready to wear. Confesses Time Lord 2023. Well, we won't tell a soul. Won't tell a soul about that. So yeah, this is it. The Church on Ruby Road will star Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson. There, the story will pick up obviously from the end of these specials. Who knows what's happening and where it's happening? We know that this picture we've had this for a year now, that even this doesn't tell the whole story of where he is and what's going on. But I think it's quite nice to have an episode title for this and a date. So what do you think about this then, Ian? The Church on Ruby Road. Does that make you feel Christmassy?
I'm just looking forward to see this new Doctor and Ncuti, and how, you know, the whole story revolves around him and stuff. So I'm just really looking forward to it. To tell you the truth, I've never thought it was only a few of the Christmas specials that I thought was good, but for majority of them were very cringy, and some of the majority of the stories weren't to my taste anyway.
How have you found it though, Ian? How have you found Christmas without Doctor Who for the last 4 or 5 years?
Obviously, it's like, you know, we've gone through an era where we didn't have Doctor Who on Christmas Day, which was a bit weird. It's like when they stopped showing Raiders of the Lost Ark on Christmas Day. It was a bit weird as well, wasn't it? So I'm glad it's coming back. And as everybody knows what I think of what's happening with Doctor Who, but I've got my fingers crossed that I am totally wrong about Ncuti, and Ncuti's going to wow me, and there's going to be less politics played into this series. And I'm just hoping that's going to happen. I'm looking forward to the Christmas special, definitely.
You think they'll go for the old time slot of about 6 o'clock, Charlotte? What do you think they're going to do with it? Where are they going to put it?
Oh, I have no idea, because the schedule has been so bad the last good amount of years on BBC. So I can't help but think they'll put it in a prime slot because it's new and it's actually something with a bit of a special tag. But what I'm getting off this, to be fair, you said, oh, can't wait to see Ncuti. I think we're going to have a very much like a Rose situation. Because the companion's name's in the title. And I think this story is going to be a lot of Millie, a lot of Ruby. This is our introduction to her. So I half expected this special to just be called Ruby. I did. Yeah, I think Russell's sort of taking that idea, but obviously it's a bit more than just the name. We've got church, we know there's a road. So you can sort of start to put a few things together. This is obviously a location that's important because Ruby, if we go off this, has been named off it. So I think it's enough that you can start to do your little theory fan thing, but it's not enough that it gives anything away. So I think I agree with you, it's not a spoiler, and it's nice just to have it.
Is he going backwards then? Is he going to do the same thing he did with Rose? Because it's going to focus on Rose, and then suddenly the Doctor appears in her life, and it's the same thing. If it is, I'm going to be disappointed.
Generally, Ian, though, that's quite an effective way to roll a story out, isn't it? And to embed a new character, and you know, because we know, the Doctor's going to have a new face, and there's character traits that will be different. We'll all be keen to see Ncuti in action, but when this show is working at its best, the companion is just as important, aren't they? And we know them, can relate to them, know how they came in. And we've heard whispers about the backstory of this character, which sounds drastically different to Rose's. And obviously he's got a full hour to play with this time, whereas episode 1 of series 1, that was
if you remember
a very lean episode.
The Christmas Invasion, David Tennant really wasn't in it a lot.
Yeah.
It was really all like Rose and Mickey and all of that, wasn't it? Because the Doctor was having a bad regeneration. So he wasn't the focal point really. And he was like, in terms of, how many scenes was he in, mainly at the end of it. So again, we might see something like that. We don't know how Ncuti's going to regenerate. Is it going to be a good regeneration? Is he going to have a dodgy regeneration? We'd say, because we don't quite know how all this hangs together yet. But if he doesn't have a good regeneration, then that would make sense that they focus more on Millie, or maybe Millie finds him and helps him. We just don't know, do we? So
well, that was the one thing I hated about the David Tennant one. The first one was that he was hardly in it, and I'm hoping they never do that again, because it's called Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like I don't think they're going to do the exact thing of Rose where Christopher Eccleston was very much sidelined. I don't think he'll do that, because I think he will know, Russell or people at Bad Wolf, that will look like they're not confident in Ncuti. If he's not in this episode enough, they'll think, oh, we're not showing him off enough.
You're assuming too much.
Well, yeah, but I just think it's going to obviously tell us her backstory, how we're going to meet her, but the Doctor's going to be involved. The Doctor's going to be the sort of the mysterious figure that comes and saves the day a bit. That's how I think they're going to do it, more than Eccleston sort of barely in there, or Tennant's first one.
Do you get the impression?
I've got a comment here from Peter Harrington who suggests that Ruby could seem like an Ace clone to him. I wondered what he meant at first, but then he just says it could be a lost soul, which would be. I mean, you could say that Martha was a little lost. She was very immersed in her work rather than any other aspect in her life, but she wasn't a lost soul. That probably hasn't been done.
Is
Doctor Who?
Is Anita Dobson going to be playing like
she plays her next door neighbour.
Oh, okay. I thought she was playing her mum or something. Like
she plays her next door neighbour. That's all I know.
She's adopted. I read something today that Ruby's adopted, and I think that's probably going to play. I guess that's going to play into the stories as well. Maybe like he helps her find out who her parents were, or maybe she turns out to be an alien after all, or something. There's a world of possibilities. But I do think Russell is not the type of writer that tends to repeat himself.
No.
And one of the reasons why he didn't want to come back to Doctor Who was like, well, I've told all the stories I want to tell. And now he's saying he's got a new set of ideas or whatever. So I'd be very surprised. I mean, to a degree, Doctor Who's fairly formulaic. So we'll probably still have that formula that he created for the modern era. But I'd be very surprised if he sort of tells the same story, if you know what I mean.
Is it possible she's going to be another Star-Lord then? Is that what you're saying, Andy?
She could be Star Wars. Yeah, absolutely. Who knows?
Not long to wait. I mean, obviously, I've never seen either of these actors act in anything before. I've never seen Ncuti Gatwa in anything. I've never seen Millie Gibson in anything. So this is going to be a big eye opener to me. I hope to sort of get completely immersed in these characters, and it's down to obviously the actor and the actress and the writer to really sell me on them when it comes time for Christmas Day for the Church on Ruby Road by Russell T Davies. Time slot to be confirmed. I would say it'll be sandwiched between Strictly Come Dancing and EastEnders. That would be my guess, Charlotte. I would get rid of Michael McIntyre, bugger him off somewhere, and get it right back in there, because they get rid of the guy. It's a Black Country expression, it probably is. Bugger him off. But that's what I would do. Because they've had a lot of bad press, the BBC, actually, and ITV, come to think of it, the schedules for the last 2 or 3 Christmases across all British channels have been exactly the same. They need to mix things up, bringing back Doctor Who. Put it right in the dead centre.
It'll be strictly Doctor Who Ghosts, I think, will be the order.
Probably.
Oh, yeah, Ghosts might be on that night.
Oh, I thought Ghosts was finishing. I thought that had ended.
Well, season 5's finished, but there's a Christmas special, because obviously she hadn't had the baby at the end of the season. So
it's opened up for one more episode of
that. They've got one more episode of Christmas special. It was on Christmas Day last year, and I think it's like the only thing I watched on BBC the whole of Christmas last year. So I think maybe that'll be the running order, maybe.
And I'm just thinking, actually,
or Ghosts and Doctor Who. Yeah,
I'm just thinking, Andy, Ghosts would be a good thing to match almost, because you've got the historical sort of quirky thing in Ghosts.
And it's
So
quite a
Doctor Who
family
would-
show as well. So I think if you're into Ghosts, you'd probably like Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking actually.
But
But
the
you know
characters-
what, right? The worst case scenario is they put it on when they put on the film on Christmas Day at the BBC, which is kind of around about 3 o'clock.
Oh, they'd
in
never
the
do that.
afternoon.
Oh,
I mean,
but isn't
that's the worst case scenario.
They'd never
in my
spend
opinion.
something that was costing them this. This is.
Isn't the King's Speech on at 3? Is that normally 3 o'clock?
The King.
The
They've
King's
moved.
King's
Speech.
Speech.
They've moved a lot of the things. They've shuffled a lot of the mainstays around. For example, Top of the Pops was always on at 2 o'clock. There's no Top of the Pops Christmas special anymore, so that's gone. They've moved the King's Speech back a couple of hours. So I really don't know. I think it's anybody's guess. But something like this, Strictly is not a cheap show to put on, I've no doubt.
Oh, God,
but
no.
make no doubt about it, this Doctor Who special will be the most expensive thing on Christmas Day by some considerable way. They are not going to tuck this away anyway. They're not going to take any chances. They're placing every faith in Bad Wolf and Russell T Davies and getting behind this because they have to, because it's make or break time, and they know that. They don't know. I've said this before. They don't know why that last era failed. They've no idea why, but they also don't know. I know we know, but they won't ask us.
They
don't know. They don't know why, but they also don't. They don't know. They don't. But they also don't know why it was successful when it was successful either. They don't understand the appeal of the show. They never have done. This is why they were very keen to actually farm it off to Bad Wolf, because Bad Wolf know how to make this show. It's kind of like, well, it's not our problem. It's not our decision. When an independent takes it, they can make it. They can have the headaches. We tell them what we want. They come back to us with a serviceable show that we know is going to hit the mark, and it's one less headache for us. Takes it out of all that middle management is how I look at it. Ezra Goldstein says Russell T Davies will make a variation of the Bad Wolf storyline. What on earth makes you think that? I think there will be a season arc. I think there's going to be an arc to the event series, and there will always be season arcs because I think that's probably a sensible way to do things now, but I wouldn't expect any repetition there. And I know you've asked a question about the timeless children, Ezra. We're not going there. We have been over that over and over again. There's about 3 dozen live streams where we talk about the timeless children. Not going to touch that, sorry. No. When there's something new to talk about, then I'll talk about it, but not until then. Ed Gorenstein says Russell is absolutely the type of writer to repeat himself years and years. Was exactly the type of story he was trying to that's thematically though, isn't it? Is the themes to his writing. There are topics that interest him, and there are modes of storytelling. Stephen Moffat's like that, but that's not necessarily repetition. That's their idiosyncrasies.
With Russell, he doesn't like to repeat characters.
Yeah.
In his work, like a lot of his characters.
Very unique,
very different. So I don't think he'll want Ruby to be a copy of Rose.
Well, you hope.
No chance at all. No.
Yeah. Well, look. Everyone has their faults and stuff like that. There is a trend when it comes to actual artists and stuff like that. If you look closely, they do have a pattern that goes through. And if Russell T decides to make Ruby like Rose, it depends on what he makes her do. That will make her different. Do you know what I mean? So
can't wait to find out.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, you just don't want a Northern Rose, do you? That's just.
I know she's not a newbie. I know there are people who followed the career of this actress on Coronation Street for several years. Now, there are people who really love this girl. They feel like she's sort of one of their family, and that's a nice thing. But obviously, I'm not one of them, so I haven't got that connection to her. I'm just excited to see them build this new character. Ian Getting says, in many ways, wasn't Doctor Who hated by the top brass in the BBC quite often throughout its career, even from the beginning? Not necessarily from the beginning, but they always found they witnessed to it working and witnessed to it failing, but they always viewed it as being a kind of arcane thing. They were never sure what the winning combination was and why. And that's why they messed around with the personnel so often, and they had their heads. Again, I can't tell you how I know this, but through my sources, I know they had their heads in their hands throughout the Jodie Whittaker era, because to them it's like, well, we're doing what we're supposed to do, all the parts, all the working parts are there, why is this failing? They just didn't understand why it wouldn't work. And we all knew, some of us had a fair idea before the damn thing screened, because to them it was no different. They'd installed somebody of similar weight in the industry. They'd got actors who'd kind of been okay in other things. They looked at it that simply because they couldn't see past. They couldn't get out of their own way and their charters, because they're all middle managers. And they always have been, a lot of the people at that level at the BBC. But moving on. Yes, so the Doctor Who Christmas Special 2023 on Christmas Day. Yes, definitely. We're getting it on Christmas Day. The Church on Ruby Road, the brand new, all new Doctor Who. So we've had classic, we've had new, and now we're getting all new Doctor Who and whatever's going to come in the Whoniverse as it all expands. Maybe you'll fall in love with Doctor Who again, and maybe this will completely revolutionise this old show over the next 5 years. I think Bad Wolf have got it for around 5 years. So they've got they can't afford to sit on their hands for too long. They've got to start making waves. And of course, we're willing it to success here at Type 40, but you'll always get honest reviews and opinions from us, whatever the weather, across our panel. And we do it all for the same reason that they are putting it all together, all for the love of Who. That's it's in the Doctor. He's wearing your jumper there, Andy.
I'm wearing his. I'm not sure which way around it is. Yeah, subconsciously, I must have put this on this morning. And I realised not long before the stream, I was like, oh, I've got my cricket jumper on. So it's there without even realising it.
Excellent stuff. Please keep your comments coming, everybody. People talking about various ideas about Christmas and when they could be putting it on and bringing it back, and people talking about their own Christmases and slots and things. Yeah, we've got to get through the rest of Whovember first. There's things being revealed, announced pretty much on the daily, I'm happy to say, and we're all over it here at Type 40 with these Whovember extra videos that we're dropping here and there. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, check you're still subscribed, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what's next and when, particularly if you've got the snacks and the drinks in already. You could be ready to go and do it the Type 40 way with the Jaffa cakes, Ian.
Yay!
It's catching on, mate. It's catching on. Michael sent us this the other day. You seen this?
Oh, amazing.
Brilliant.
Jaffa Cakes is becoming the house snack, I think, of Type 40. Charlotte, are you fond of a Jaffa Cake?
I don't like them.
Oh, what? Get off.
I thought everyone liked it.
I've been quietly keeping it because I know Ian likes them.
I love a Jaffa Cake. They're brilliant.
You know what? Shoot is going to be eating Jaffa Cakes. If he does eat I'll say this again. If he does eat Jaffa Cakes, they've been watching Type 40.
From jelly babies to Jaffa Cakes. It could be the new fish fingers and custard. Yeah.
Well, if it's the BBC, he has to have fried chicken and rice, doesn't he? Because otherwise he's not ethnic enough.
Yeah.
Yes, if it's pie.
Rice and king. Yes.
From the golden underside of the humble Jaffa Cake there to some golden moments. I'm talking about your golden moment when you pop off to the smallest room in your TARDIS to maybe hose something down or top something up. The rest of you who are blessed with better bladders, you can stay seated and enjoy these golden moments from Doctor Who past with golden voices and golden faces of some of our icons. We'll see you back here for more Type 40 Live in a couple of minutes.
Around the world, there are many extravagant ways of preparing food. But the latest cookers at your local gas showroom are probably more to your taste. We've the elegant Parkinson Cow and Prospect, for instance, at £389 delivered and fitted. Plus skilled advice, a year's guarantee, and expert servicing. We've also, of course, the widest range of gas cookers in town. So why go anywhere else? It's all at your local gas showroom.
Have you got a little...
Hello, love. See, you and Dave got married then? Got just what you need for supper. Tender beef simmered in its own gravy with a tasty pie crust.
Oh, but I've never made a pie.
No, and you never have to. Fray Bentos steak and kidney pie, just like his mother's. She buys them here, too.
UK Gold. Prime time, all the time.
It's about time.
Good day. We just put in these plug-in sockets, and you can have a new telecom phone in every room. Now, this model has auto-dialing, an alarm, and a calculator. And may I suggest this hands-free telephone in matching colours for the bedroom?
Yeah, that'll be the story for the bedroom.
Telecom are working overtime to get your new telecom telephones to you. When this brochure arrives in the mail, we're in your neighbourhood. You can even have one in the loo if you like.
G'day. Is that you, Barry?
Hey, I hope you're back. Hope you're all better now. Welcome back to Type 40 Live, your live stream Doctor Who magazine show, clocking all the fixed and not so fixed points in the Whoniverse, both on and off screen. Out of order. We've been out of order on this show for years now, haven't we, Ian?
Oh, yes.
But we're streaming across YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook with another live stream edition of the show. Lots of comments out there in the comments section from all our friends. We want more. Yeah, and please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check you're still subscribed and hit the cloister bell while you're at it too. So yeah, I'm Dan, and I'm here with the panel. I've got Charlotte here, we've got Andy, and we've got Ian at the bottom too, getting stuck into more Doctor Who as the 60th anniversary heads ever closer. And yeah, there's been lots more coming this week as the Whoniverse. See, that's actually catching on now, isn't it, Charlotte? I don't feel quite so stupid saying it now that now that it's a thing. Now it's an actual thing.
Oh, that it's official.
It is. It's official. So we had the 60th anniversary. It sort of kicked off last week, really. Finally, at long last, from the BBC themselves, officially. I mean, we tend not to wait for the BBC anyway. I think we've been celebrating all year, but better late than never. So we had the launch of the Whoniverse. And it was not exactly an overnight revolution for the Doctor Who brand, but it was a marketed one. You could see exactly what was happening, where and why, and it was bold. It got people's attention. But the first production that came to the air to mark this, it was actually something quite small and inconspicuous, and on a lesser channel. Ian, now you've said to me, why do they tuck things away on BBC4? This frustrates you no end, doesn't it?
It does, totally. But yeah, I wish they had it back on BBC Two. Anything to do with Doctor Who on BBC Two.
Because their reasoning is that like BBC Two is kind of a populist channel now, and the BBC4 is the artsy channel that BBC Two used to be. I can see some sense in that, but I kind of know what you mean.
Are you leading up to something, Dan?
Aren't I always? Aren't I always? Yes, so I'm talking about this. So we had a Doctor Who night on BBC4 last Wednesday, and it kicked off not just with the unveiling and the very first play of the Whoniverse fanfare that we talked about the other day, but it went straight into this. This is Talking Doctor Who, an hour-long documentary for BBC4, screened on the 1st of November at 7:30 p.m, and it was presented by David Tennant as himself in pretty much full-on geek out mode, which even at a man, I think he's like 52, 53, it's still quite infectious, that. So he was able to properly geek out as much as you could sat in front of an auto cue. And the blurb said that David Tennant time travels back through the BBC archives to tell the story of the Doctor's classic era in a BBC4 documentary. This show will feature a selection of rarely seen interviews and clips covering the William Hartnell's first incarnation right the way through to Sylvester McCoy, the 7th Doctor. On the way, Tennant compares some of his own experiences with the actors who've come before him and shares special archive moments that reveal, amongst other things, how to film a regeneration and which actor was a real-life master of gadgetry. There have been lots of Doctor Who excuse me, there've been lots of Doctor Who documentaries over the years for the mainstream audience, not just at celebration time either, Charlotte. They've had theme nights here and there. There was one in 1999, and there was Who's Doctor Who all the way back in 1977, and this little thing called Resistance is Useless, which was a sort of clips package with bits read to camera in the middle by this sort of weird character in an anorak, seeing is believing. So this is far from the first time they've done this, but it was obviously dropped at a very, very key time, and it's quite a small show. It's not very flashy.
No.
So, did you catch this, Charlotte? Have you managed to see this? And what do you think about launching a season, a celebratory season of 6 decades of something on TV, with a show that is quite small?
Well, I'm a bit surprised, because I knew there was rumours that we were going to get some sort of documentary. And I'm a bit surprised it's just classic, unless there's plans for another one. But I've not got around to seeing it. Like, my weekend's just going to be binging, like, considering what we were just talking about, a load of Doctor Who stuff I've not had the time yet to watch. And I think what I do like is that, to me, it feels like there is a real focus right now on classic, which is lovely, with the Tales stuff, with this, and I like the fact that the classic isn't being forgotten and it is getting celebrated, which I think for 60th you especially needed to do. Well,
I don't think it's any coincidence that this has come at the week that the iPlayer was launched with all those 800 episodes. Yeah, all the new stuff's on there as well, but the new stuff's been on there for quite a long time. The novelty, the USP of Whoniverse is that people can have access now to next to every episode of Doctor Who without it being behind a paywall in Britain, either being an extra subscription to something else, Andy, or paying out for shiny discs. We may collect physical media, but the fact is it is going slightly out of fashion. People don't want it taking up house space, do they? So for me, what this actually seems to be is, it's a celebration on one hand, and it's there as part of the anniversary. But the reason why it's actually located and fixated on the classic series is that they're well aware that Whoniverse is kind of being sold on the strength of accessibility to all this stuff. What do you think? Because, like I say, you're well up on streaming and fads and fashions and the actual logistics behind it.
I mean, I personally feel that all of this is coming from Russell T Davies. Obviously, he's a massive fan. David Tennant's a massive fan. So the complete disregard and lack of respect shown to the classic era over the last 4 or 5 years.
They didn't show anybody any respect. They didn't show anybody of any era any respect.
Yeah, and the fandom. So I think there's a lot of trying to build bridges, trying to say, and obviously the whole thing is that the first Doctor, William Hartnell, because that is the only first Doctor. Thank you very much.
They hammered that home, didn't they?
They really leaned into that, and finding that archive interview with him, I think was great. I think there was some lovely bits and bobs in there. I mean, I think part of the problem or difficulty is that they really went all out for the 50th, and there were some great documentaries then, and obviously they interviewed all the companions that are still alive, and as far back as they could go. So a lot of that was done for the 50th. So to try and put a slightly different slant on it, I think they've done that quite well with this. And obviously they did focus on some of the companions, certainly obviously the ones that we sadly lost, like Elizabeth Sladen and people like that. So I think that's really good to show again some respect and reverence to those people and what's come before. And I think that people can eyeball a little bit that, they've ruled out David Tennant again. But he is a massive fan, and that really comes across when he talks about it. His passion is real, and I think if you try to have anybody else, it'd be just disingenuous, and the fans would just be like, this is all just lip service. So I think having someone like David Tennant, who is obviously a fanboy first and foremost, I think worked really well. But I'm surprised it was quite short. And like I say, it just, they didn't really go too much into like the aliens and stuff. They kind of touched on the Daleks and Terry Nation, but they had this image and they didn't even talk about the Cybermen. So I was a bit like, I thought there was going to be more episodes.
I think what it is, I think what it is that it's a very BBC4 friendly kind of documentary. I haven't watched anything on BBC4 for a while because I don't have a TV license anymore. But I used to watch a lot of this channel because I like the old rock bands, old movies, old TV shows. And what you would find is that they would have a documentary, for example. They'd have an entire night about the Rolling Stones, and they would have something called Rolling Stones at the BBC, where they would have a load of their live performances or stuff from Top of the Pops, and they'd just jam them all together for a solid hour, and then they'd follow that up with a show called, for example, Talking Rolling Stones, where it would be kind of like an oral history, whereby there'd be no actual interviewer. It would be them talking direct to camera, not necessarily new interviews, but archive interviews too. They would go deep into the archive. And so for me, what this production in its realization sits very neatly into BBC4's house style. And I agree, that's why this graphic that they've used everywhere of Tennant with both the Stompy Wompy Cybermen, Ian, and the Tomb of the Cybermen ones from 67 there. So yeah, I couldn't understand why they'd gone with this unless the Cyberman was there to reflect him. But I agree with you, Andy. I think that Tennant is the natural fit for this kind of thing. I think he enjoys doing it. I dare say they throw him a few bob, but he doesn't. I would also say that he doesn't need the money either. I think you can see on his face, even though he's reading all this stuff out, Ian, that you can tell he's enjoying himself. That's the impression I get, and that he respects these actors as much as we do. You watched it just this afternoon, didn't you? What did you make of this?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, there was David Tennant's obviously a fanboy. It just comes across when he's talking about it, which is interesting. And I really, so I never saw the interview, and even though it was very brief with the first Hartnell, and it seemed, as David Tennant said, it seemed like he really did regret playing the Doctor, didn't he? And it was really strange.
You mean you've never seen that interview before?
No. I've never seen that interview with him before. And he was putting lipstick on and eyeshadow and stuff like that.
He was in Panto. Yeah, he was in Panto.
But when he was asked if Panto's, he basically doesn't respect Panto either. So he was very grumpy. And then they went from him to Patrick Troughton, who was very upbeat, wasn't he, about being the Doctor? And I think that was Pepper Mill, wasn't it? Pepper Mill.
That's right. Yeah.
And you can see the big difference between them both. I'm assuming now that he was upset that he was always going to be the Doctor, even no matter what he did.
He seems quite frustrated, doesn't he, to hear, because this was only discovered around 11 years ago, Charlotte. It was a regional news program for the BBC, and Hartnell had come out of Doctor Who, and I think it was less than a year later he was in Panto there, and he speaks very, very candidly, very lucidly. You know, he's not out of it. There was this belief that by the time that Hartnell left the role, that he obviously couldn't remember his lines, didn't know what he was half the time, and he sounds very sort of clued up on what he's doing and very engaged with his interviewer. It's a strange interview because it's all conducted through a mirror, so that's a weird one to see. But
it's nice when I spoke to Peter Davison. Sorry, Dan. It was nice when I spoke to Peter Davison. I thought that was really
the premise of this, wasn't it, that David Tennant, in a very kind of simple way, talks us through the history of the classic show.
Yeah.
Stopping off with little interviews, some seen more than others, with the original leading men, so that they don't go and talk and dig out footage of companions. It is just the Doctors, isn't it? And we get, and because they've chosen the interviews quite well, like you say, Ian, the one with Troughton accentuates the fact they were really different men. They approached their work very differently. They've got completely different personalities. And you could also see when he was speaking to Troughton, there was a lot more, you could see the impishness behind his eyes, that his Doctor was also a side to him that he brought out. But they did, so they spoke to everybody, Charlotte. So when you see this, you'll see they just chose a really nice selection of interviews that weren't all the same. So they weren't all talking heads. They were all doing something quite different, dotted throughout their time on the show. So did you have a favourite one, Ian? Because I'd seen them all before, but I think some I
haven't seen a lot of those interviews. I did like when I asked Peter what he was going to bring to the table, and he said, well,
yeah,
you know, there's nothing I can bring to the table. I can bring myself to the table. And he's basically playing himself, isn't he? And then they asked Colin,
they all do,
they asked Colin what he was going to do, and Colin said, look, I'm going to do the same as Peter. You know, what else can you bring to the Doctor? You know, you've got to bring yourself to the Doctor. Do you know what I mean? So that was fascinating to hear, because they were both on the couch, weren't they? Because he was passing the baton over to Colin, wasn't he? So
that was a nice one. The one on the Russell Harty show with Peter Davison and Colin Baker, which I didn't see at the time, because the Russell Harty show, don't know if you remember that, Andy, it used to be shown around 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. So it wasn't like Wogan in the early evening.
I mean, I remember Russell Harty, and I remember the young one saying, Russell Harty! But he started behind the sofa. But yeah, I mean, that was on way past my bedtime, I think, back in the day.
ITV, wasn't it? LWT.
Yeah, I would have been like,
it was on LWT, yeah.
I would have been under 10 when that was on, so we well past my bedtime. So
Garbage thinks that too much has come out now. Wow, that's changed in 7 days.
I think it's really nice that as Charlotte says, I think it's really nice that they are now recognizing classic, as I would call it, or anybody would call it, classic Who, because they should be recognized. They're the ones that built the platform that Russell T is building upon. Do you know what I mean? If it wasn't for
they should be proud of it, shouldn't they?
They should. BBC is not. BBC's ashamed of them, though.
And yet Tennant's pride at being the latest for the time being in that legacy, that's very apparent, isn't it? Even now, even doing a second stint, it's very obvious.
Yeah, he loves the character. He loves it. Sorry.
Yeah, sort of to add what you were just saying, Ian, he loves the character. But I think he recognises, and I've always felt this in any interview when he gets brought up with Doctor Who, I think he's so proud to be in the same space as those men. And it just comes, I remember when he was doing a stream where it was him, Matt and Jodie, and they asked him a question. Oh, that was it. It was like, who would you like to go back in time and meet? And the first thing out of his mouth was, I want to go and see William Hartnell so I can tell him, look, this is what you started.
Yeah.
And that sort of response of the sort of saying in the best way of, he's sort of in the presence, he's sort of in the shadow of giants, but he loves that.
What did Jodie say then when she was asked the same question?
Oh, I can't remember.
Let's be honest, who gives a fuck? Tony Farrell's in the live chat and said Tennant's enthusiasm was infectious, but overall I found the documentary shallow and something which didn't have anything new to say.
No, I agree. I agree with Tony. It didn't have anything to say and it was shallow, right? But I'm glad that they recognised for the
I think it's very much made probably to show at some point on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
but any American audience who doesn't know what Doctor Who is, they're trying to basically say this is this quirky British show. You know who David Tennant is.
I don't even think they've thought that far in advance. I don't think any of this, because again, this documentary is made with the license fee. I don't think there's any eye on this going onto Disney Plus whatsoever. And again, I know people got a little bit offended about this the other day, but this fixation on Disney Plus is an important factor. Of course it is. But all of this stuff, the license fee and the BBC is still involved in Doctor Who. And so there's lots of this, which is being produced to travel not in that direction.
Yeah, but it's not like Disney Plus are getting this for free. You know, they've paid a bloody big sum of money to the BBC. So yes, it's our license fee, but they're getting the money back from Disney to show it. So I think it does factor into that.
No, but they're only paying for what they produce, though. For the commission. This is a completely different commission for a completely different channel, because that's what happens. The channel controllers, they commission the programs. So this is happening. It's not. I'm sure it's on the Whoniverse hub. I would imagine it's there to be found, because obviously it all falls under the BBC.
It's on there. Yeah. It's on
the BBC doesn't. The BBC doesn't. And this is why I can see why people get gnarly about it, because it doesn't. The BBC doesn't operate like a commercial TV station. It doesn't even operate like a British commercial TV station, let alone an American one. So I can understand why American viewers find this really difficult to understand and to accept, because it's a public service. It's a completely different kettle of fish. I think Tony's right about the surface value of this, Ian. But I also think that its remit and its commission from BBC4, that it's probably fulfilled that admirably.
It has.
What you were saying though, because last time, Andy, you're right, for the 50th, which isn't that long ago, There was a lot more elaborate documentaries. They were bookended by quite elaborate bits of drama acted out by Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman. Lots of clips. And it was very explosive, and there was talking heads from other pop culture figures. Whereas this time, maybe taking it smaller, perhaps it's not the worst thing in the world for considering where the brand is now. Because 10 years ago, it was at the top of its sort of game internationally in context, and now it isn't. It's on its arse.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of the 50th stuff was definitely aimed at the American market because it was so huge in America, or Matt Smith was so huge in America. Because obviously people, people don't like Matt Smith was more popular in America than David Tennant was, which for us is a bit like, what? Okay.
Yeah, but hold on. I just want to say I can understand. I know a lot of Americans that are into Doctor Who, and I can understand why they're upset. Yes, they don't understand the license fee and how it works for the BBC, but if I was an American and I was a huge fan of Doctor Who, being outside and looking in, going, all these documentaries being made, how comes I haven't got access to it? Of course, it's going to piss me off, isn't it? So I can understand. They still got
BBC America, or did they shut it down?
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think is it shown in that?
It's barely. BBC America barely exists now, and they don't commission their own programming anymore. Again, because that was. BBC America was an oddity as well, and BBC America was a bit of a scheme on the BBC's part, I always felt, because they had their cake, because it was operating on another continent, they were able to have their cake and eat it. So although it didn't use license payers' money, they did show a lot of programming that the license fee had paid for. There were blurred lines there, but obviously we're going back now. The height of BBC America is nearly 10 years ago. A lot's happened in the time in between, so they don't commission anything. See, because they could commission their own programming too, and they did, but none of that ever made it back to Britain, and so there was never that much of a fuss about it. But because it was all wrapped up, it was commissioned by BBC Studios. It wasn't the license fee payers' money. So there was enough grey areas there, but no, they don't commission programming anymore. But obviously, individual BBC channels and radio stations. That's why we're getting there's BBC documentaries about Doctor Who coming on BBC, not just Radio 2, but Radio 4, and I think Radio 7's got one as well. So and they're all commissioned not by Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf, but by the controllers or department heads on those stations, because they're either Doctor Who fans or they know that it's going to be a big thing and they want to have their little piece of it. It is a weird way of operating, but this is why I'm sure that Russell and Bad Wolf know about it all. Generally, they'll be aware of what has been commissioned, but they won't have anything to do with it. So Sony and Disney Plus, not a chance. They won't even be in their wheelhouse.
It's a very niche thing, though. I've discovered, like when
the
I was
American system's better. The American system is far better.
Yeah, but when I was in America recently, and I met up with some of my friends, Doctor Who fans and stuff like that, they obviously were disappointed that certain things weren't coming their way. But I understand it now, and I told you this, Dan. I went to watching a film on the plane called Champions, which is about the guy from Cheers, Woody Harrelson. He has to look after this basketball team, but they're all on the spectrum. All the guys were on the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
And then he has an affair with one of the mothers, and one of the mothers was complaining to him, saying, if you're going to be friends with us, you've got to be friends with my son. He's like, you don't have to be there holding his hand while he watches Doctor Who. Do you know what I mean? So it is mentioned in a very kind of niche kind of nerdy thing. Do you know what I mean? So I understand where Doctor Who sits now in America. It was only Matt Smith that actually made it hit the masses, but now it's gone back down to being a niche thing again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it needs to really raise its game. Yeah. Ian Getting says, I like how the Doctors talked about watching previous Doctors to see the essence of the character. Matt Smith did the same. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He did. And my favourite,
she went out of her way to tell us she didn't as well.
My favourite clip of everything that was shown on here. I don't know if you've seen this one, Charlotte, because it's been on Facebook a lot on the social medias. I do love the one with Peter Davison and Colin Baker. I get a kick out of seeing the different actors when they're together, but this one in particular is so charming. Fantastic. And so
that was great. That was my
playful. With Patrick Troughton and Peter Davison. I'd seen this so many times, but when they sat back to back, you can see, because they'd worked together on All Creatures Great and Small, and obviously the BBC was a bit of a cozier place then, so they would have bumped into each other time and time again. So you can see there's a kind of a paternal relationship there, as if he treats Patrick Troughton like he's some naughty uncle, Andy. And, you can see them going for a half together in the bar, either before or after, probably before actually, given the way they're laughing.
I didn't realise that Patrick Charlton had only did it for 3 years.
Yeah.
I did not until he said it today on that interview, and he's like, I was 3 years. I'm like, 3 years. Really?
Well, they've just lost most of his episodes, though, haven't they? That's the problem. He's just the biggest chunk missing out of all the doctors, unfortunately.
Wow.
I was going to say, is this the interview where he talks about the 3-year rule as it sort of became known
think
as?
so. I think so. I'm not really sure.
He very much told David to just do 3 years.
On the car park, allegedly, have a good time, but only do 3 years.
Well, in those days, you could really be stamped with the last role, the last most successful role that you do. I mean, someone like Patrick Stewart, he's lucky. He's got 2 iconic characters to his name now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, he's great. He'll be remembered for those 2 characters. But in those days, if you got stuck with something, you were stuck with it for the rest of your life. Do you know what I mean? So things have changed now. So
imagine if you were stuck with a reputation for being a gadget man and you weren't very good with gadgets. Fortunately, John Pertwee absolutely loved a gadget, and he relished the opportunity to demonstrate one of these. I think he was on the take with the Portafold company. So the clip they chose for Pertwee was him working one of these collapsible caravans.
But you hear what he said, though, Dan? He said, when you're on location, he goes, and it's cold, you just put this up in 11 seconds and you can be warm. I'm like, what? BBC didn't give them a trailer? Do you know what I mean? What kind of
probably not.
Also, it looked freezing frigging cold. There's no way there's any heat in that thing.
I was like, gust of wind, it'd probably collapse.
Blow over.
Yeah, exactly.
So it turns out that Pertwee didn't just demonstrate it on the BBC News there. He was the star of a set of adverts for the Portafold. And in his clip, we don't get to spend much time with him there. He demonstrates the Whomobile to Peter Purvis in a clip we've seen that many times. And this collapsible caravan one is particularly amusing. It shows a side to Pertwee that his predecessors and his successors probably didn't have. So it's nice and idiosyncratic, I felt. And I wondered about these Portafolds, so I went and looked them up. Is there any still around, still in service? Turns out there is. In fact, one of them was
brilliant.
This is one of the exact same model, Ian. This is 1973's Portafold caravan. One of these was sold online. I tried to find out how much it went for. It was sold online a couple of weeks ago, and it's gone somewhat yellow. I think, Andy, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I was going to say it's like the Robin Reliant of caravans, isn't it? You can imagine Del Boy actually towing one of these things. It should stay in the 70s, I think.
Really funny because he said it only takes 11 seconds to put it down, and David Tennant said, well, that took 22 seconds. So,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that was quite funny.
Time Lord, not very good at keeping track of time. So I had to go and look that up. I mean, whoever's bought this, I hope they obviously have lots of summers of caravanning joy ahead of them, but rather them than me, to be honest. There's some nice candid stuff with Tom Baker as well, but when is Tom Baker never amusing? Every clip we see of him, he's
things like what attracted to the world, wages.
I was at work.
I needed a job.
And when he got up from that clip, David Tennant went, and that's the last time he played the Doctor, and it made me feel sad. Do you remember when he was changing and he had to stay still, didn't he? And he was like, "Shall I blink?" And he's like, "No, you shouldn't blink." And then he got up, and it was like that was it. That was his era ended right there. It's crazy, right? When you think about it. And probably David Tennant knows how that feels, doesn't he? When he went from him to Matt Smith, where they just basically, he walked out, didn't he? Did they talk when they changed, Matt Smith and him, on the day?
Yes. It seems so. They had photographs taken together, Andy. You've seen those?
I think Matt said in an interview he got a very quick conversation with Tennant.
Right.
Very, though, small.
Yeah, but they were actually there on the same day doing it. Whereas
they didn't film it separate.
Unlike sort of Jodie and I love what David Tennant said, we use exactly the same technique. Was it 40 years later? We're still doing it exactly the same way.
I think in truth, although those clips, whether you've seen them all before or not, an hour of solid vintage clips probably is a little much if you're not used to watching that kind of. It is very, very sedate viewing, and it makes you smile rather than makes you laugh. It doesn't get your blood pumping and make you think, God, I've got to go. I can't wait for the new specials. It might get people going to the Whoniverse app and getting up the claws of Axos or something. But I think for me, the best part of it was where they pass the laptop over to David Tennant and they show him the raw studio footage of the Tom Baker, Peter Davison regeneration. Of course, he knows Peter Davison very, very well now. He's been married to his daughter for about 12 years, and they'd worked together several times before. So this is somebody he's very, very, very familiar with. And you can see Tennant's relish, Ian.
Yeah, but even
he's somebody he knows very, very well, looking so young and being candid too.
He said, this. Should this really be shown? Remember, he was saying that when
that's
he was
what interested me the most. The fact that he was looking at it not just as his father-in-law, someone he knew really well, but how do I feel as an actor when this is what I've been going through? It's looks like quite an uncomfortable and laborious experience, and you can see him laughing. He's enjoying it the way that we do because he's a geek, but he's very aware. He can see it from both sides. I think you're right.
Of course, because he went through it, obviously, didn't he? When he I don't want to go kind of scene.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I did enjoy this though.
This scene for me was worth the hour, the 55 minutes watching stuff I'd seen before.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking it's quite fascinating because obviously because of Confidential and the way New Who's done, we've seen a lot of the regenerations, like the sort of how it's been filmed, how it's been made. But the classic regenerations, they've almost got this mystique because we haven't seen to the same length how they did it back in classic Who. So it's very much still up to our imagination. So I can see why this would be an odd thing for Tennant to sort of have that look-in, which we never usually get for classic.
No, I think he was basically what he was saying was, because the clip was Tom Baker on the ground, and he was saying, "Do I have to keep my head here still?" And I don't know if it was probably the line manager going, "Yes, you do." And he was going, "Do I have to blink? Can I blink?" She goes, "Yes." And then she went, "No, don't blink." Do you know what I mean? And you can tell he was getting a bit peeved just slightly. And that's why David Tennant said, "Should we be really showing this?" Do you know what I mean? So kind of a bit protective over Tom, basically. That's what it came across to me anyway. I don't know about you guys, but
I think you're right. I think he was picking up on a not distress on Baker's part, but there is a sadness to that footage.
Yeah.
And obviously you can hear not his frustration, but you can hear a kind of weariness in his voice because he'd been there for quite a long time. And Davison comes in, not exactly all smiles, but obviously a lot fresher faced, and they have sprayed him with something, and they put him down, they get him back up again, and I think it's the process of it too. We don't know how long Tennant spent watching. I've watched all that footage because it's on the Blu-ray, all the raw footage is there. So I don't know how much they let David Tennant watch to get this 2 or 3 minutes worth of reaction footage from him like that.
This
but
regeneration
it was worth it.
Was different, wasn't it? Because there were three people involved, weren't they? There were 3 people involved in this one. They had Tom Baker, then they had the other guy playing the whatever it was,
the Watcher.
Yeah, and then they got poor old Peter in, lining his eyes up with the other guy, and it was madness, wasn't it? So
Peter Harrington says there's a clip with Matt and David in existence. Having a cuppa and on set talking. I haven't seen that. And Scottish Davros, our friend Daniel, says David and Matt are good friends now. I understand they are, I mean, I know that they've made noises about working together on another project. At the BBC. So the BBC 4 is actual footage. I thought it might have been audio only. I had no idea.
Footage,
No, you're thinking about BBC Radio 4. Radio 4 has its own documentary coming too, but that's something else, something very specific that they're doing there. John Yalden says, "Bring back lying down regenerations." But Michael reminds us, and you're quite right, mate, that Tom Baker was they're not hated, but it was a relationship, a fraught relationship at the time. He left without saying goodbye to anyone. He had sort of isolated himself a little for understandable reasons. So for me, I would I recommend this documentary to? I mean, I'd say watch as much as you can, but I don't think that we're getting too much. I saw that Garbage thinks there's just too much on at the moment. It's a lot to get in a short period when we've been kind of starved of Doctor Who for quite a long time.
That's what it is, because I've chatted with Garbage a bit about this, and we've both sort of said it's obvious now that they did have quite a bit of extra programming. We're starting to see it come through. It would have been, I think, honestly, the BBC should have advertised it earlier that we were going to get this extra content and spread it out throughout the year. I think, considering that Russell has been very tight-lipped, Bad Wolf has sort of not given anything away. They had a whole, pretty much from January to, when did we start to get proper stuff about, like we had a good chunk of months of just nothing. So could they not have dropped maybe one of these things?
Drizzled it a little.
Just like, because it just, it feels very at the moment, and it just feels scattershot, the approach a bit.
The thing I'm disappointed with is the lack of money that they've spent for things going forward. Like, for instance, with this, it would have been so much better if it was a proper documentary that he went and visited, you know, like people that's still alive, and the relations to the people that the doctors are, and do a proper documentary. This is a cheap little thing that they shot, and the same thing with the TARDIS, whatever it was, TARDIS Memories, as it's called. And it's like, it's really disappointing because this is the 60th anniversary of Doctor, and they should really spend more money on it. You know what I mean? But anyway.
Again, I know I sound like a stuck record. BBC 4 is perilously close to closing.
I know.
They've stripped it. It's not generally allowed to commission its own programming anymore. That's why they show so many repeats. And a lot of the special concerts and things they used to do on there, and their own drama and comedy, all that has gone. So there's BBC 4 just has no money. So I'm amazed there was enough, because as I say, they commissioned this, not BBC specifically. BBC, each channel has their own commissioning editor and controller. So they would have said, okay, how much can we afford to spend on this? So it wouldn't have been like Bad Wolf saying, oh, give them a tenner for that just to make that bit of fluff. It would have been this or nothing. They've got this in the kitty to make this kind of programming, because that's what they do now.
Yeah, but that's even worse, Dan. You would think that Bad Wolf would want to put some
I think
money,
it's worse if that's, I think that's worse if it's all you get.
Well, look,
But
the quality of what you get, isn't it?
Again, though, you're not understanding that Disney or Bad Wolf can't.
Yeah, I know.
Into something commissioned by.
I know that, but what I'm saying is that would have been nice if they were allowed to, you know, and the rules were different, and we got proper documentaries and got proper, you know, stuff. But it just seems to me everything that they get delivering is quite cheap. But you know, that's the way it is, I guess. You know, now
I think it would be a pity if this is the only factual content we get on. If this, because I think this is fine for what it is. I think for what it's for, who it's been commissioned by, and what it's there to do, I think this is perfectly fine. But I would be a little disappointed. I don't want a complete retread of the 50th. I think that's pretty pointless. But I do think, I don't understand why. Let's rephrase that. I would be startled if BBC One wouldn't see fit to commission something, even if it was just an hour, for a show that hasn't just been important to them in the past several times over, but that they are, I wouldn't say the future of BBC One hinges on one show, but Doctor Who could save that channel again. I know several people, myself included, who could be in a situation where if it's good, it will have to get a TV license again for one show. There are people out there who would do that. And so if BBC One did commission something, then it could potentially pay them dividends.
I think part of the problem is, if you talk about Doctor Who and New Who, you've got to talk about Jodie. And I think, yeah, you have, right? And I think they're really, like, obviously really trying to put a line in the sand. And they're like, if we put something out and we start talking about the first female Doctor again, it's going to rile up the audience again. And we're trying to, I wouldn't even say they're building bridges, but they're trying to kind of, let's not look over there, let's look over here. And I think that there's a real, you know, that is the elephant in the room.
Too, yeah.
There's absolutely the elephant in the room. So how do you cover this without winding everybody up? Because they don't want to talk about Jodie. They certainly don't want to talk about the time of children. So where do you go from there?
So Andy, do you think that this documentary, them just focusing on classic, you reckon that's the reason why?
I think so.
You said,
I think so.
Interesting. Sorry, Charlotte. Sorry.
I've thought this for a while. We got the beginning of classic, the beginning of Doctor Who in Adventure in Space and Time. Maybe it's too close still, but I would actually find it interesting if we got the beginning of New Who in that sort of dramatized, fully fledged drama. Because we've all heard the stories that everybody thought Russell was crazy. He had to proper fight to get the BBC to even entertain him, let alone give him budget.
I think there'd be a good documentary in that, but you're
too close.
You're pointing to something. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that it would simply upset too many people, too many apple carts, and burn bridges that have only just been the fire's only just been put out on. So I think that could come in the future, and it's
50 years.
It could.
100th anniversary.
I wouldn't rule it out, and I would like to, like I say, I would like to see the other half of this story told. But the way I see it, the classic show is very BBC4. They've just shown a season of Some Others Do Have 'Em and Porridge and all that. So it's right for them. But if it was on BBC One, I think it probably would be, the balance would be very different. And I don't think that they're not doing it because that they're not commissioning a show like that because of Whittaker. I think it's more that they're not commissioning a show like that as a result of where the worth of the IP at the moment, and the fact that the channel BBC One is also in a worse state that they're prepared to admit as well. They don't put a lot of factual content on there at all now. I understand. Like I said, I don't watch it, but every time I look at the schedule, I think, bloody hell. No, is that really
There's no money. I mean, the BBC has no money. Disney Plus has no money. I mean, they're all in a bad place for exactly the same reasons. So, make your bed, you lie in it. But unfortunately, shows like this are casualties of the politics, but also not having the money. But I think there's a real nervousness about upsetting the fandom right now. There's some goodwill coming. They've lost some of that goodwill already, based on what RTD said in that article about not retconning. And there's some people who've already gone, right, I'm out. I'm not even watching the 60th, which I think is a little bit cut your nose off to spite your face. But I get it. So all it took was one statement and some of the fandom's up in arms already. So I think they're very wary about talking about anything that may have her name in it. She who will not be named in it. I really do.
Yeah.
Ezra Goldstein says all this shows is the lack of care the BBC has for Doctor Who.
Yes.
Always.
The Doctor Who still has, the problem is it's the bureaucrats and the middle management. They don't care about it. In fact, it had got to the point where some of them were hostile to it again a couple of years ago. One person in particular, I won't name, that wouldn't be fair. I think we've spoken about that person before on the show. But it does have friends at the BBC, as I say, commissioning editors who want to help it. People at Radio 4, people at BBC 4. It still has friends there who are moving their way back up. But obviously a great deal of them have gone to work for independents, which is how Bad Wolf was started. So the BBC's own diminished fortunes I didn't say they went cap in hand to Bad Wolf, but they ripped their arms off when they came knocking at that door. I can promise you. There's lots of. I'm not going to talk about Jodie, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go there. I see the comments, but we can't keep going over old ground. It's ridiculous.
Jodie,
we'll get there in our own time. The BBC hates Doctor Who. Period. Ezra, no, that's wrong. It's not true. They don't understand it. They don't hate it, but they don't understand it. The BBC doesn't love or hate. They just are. It doesn't work like that. Does it make us money? Yes or no? Yeah, it's kind of that simple. Well, they haven't been nice, like everybody, put it that way. Like everybody who's a bureaucrat, they want to do well in their job and to get the slaps on the back to move on to their next job. They're not creatively minded in the same way. Not in the same way that people who work for independents. Well, I'm thinking of particularly Bad Wolf. Those people are creative. Lorraine Heggessy and Julie Gardner, are creative people. Russell T Davies and Phil Collinson, creative people.
This is what the problem is seeing across the board, though, isn't it? Is that you've got business people running these things and not artistic people anymore, and you need a mixture of the two. And that's why we're seeing crap films, we're seeing crap TV, because you haven't got artistic people making artistic decisions. It's all spreadsheets and what does the formula say? And Doctor Who does not fit into a formula, as I found out.
No, that's true. That's very true. I mean, I'd rather, in instances such as this, I would rather look at what we did get rather than what we didn't. And here, I think we got a good, less than an hour's worth of nice entertainment. I think for the people who had perhaps forgotten about Doctor Who, who grew up with it, who've sort of watched it now and again, maybe, when they were younger or when their kids were younger. It's a reminder, a primer of the things that they liked before, hosted by that nice guy who they've seen in other things. He's all, he's like everybody's uncle or something. I think this would have worked. I think this holds up its end of the bargain nicely. But yes, just to reiterate though, I do hope that there's more. I think this is fine to open the season with. But to close it, it's got to be pretty spectacular, and it would be nice for it to be bookended with something. So I would recommend that people watch this. It's 2 weeks until the anniversary season really kicks into gear with those specials broadcast on these dates. They begin on the 25th. Saturday the 25th with the Star Beast, continuing the week after, Saturday the 2nd of December with Wild Blue Yonder, and finishing off on Saturday the 9th of December with The Giggle, the Doctor Who 60th anniversary event, adventure with David Tennant, Catherine Tate, and everybody else, whoever. We have no idea who else is going to be there. But yeah, David Tennant at front and centre, whether it's geeking out on Talking Doctor Who or in the coat and in the TARDIS. He's living his best life or best lives. I don't know. But yeah, Talking Doctor Who, if you want to watch it, it's up there on the iPlayer. You can reach it through the conventional iPlayer or through the Whoniverse app as well. I think it's up indefinitely too. It'll be there pretty much indefinitely. And I think it's been repeated a couple of times over the next few weeks as well, with subtitles and audio description and all that manner of thing. BBC4 is very friendly like that. And that 60th anniversary concert, that's still there too. Thank you for all the comments, everybody. I see this is, I think it's sort of rankled people. I think it's rankled people a little bit. Garbage hasn't even bloody seen it. I watched this BBC4 show as well, just to add it to my ever-growing list. Well, this is it. I think the beauty of living in the modern era is that we can TiVo this or back it up. We've got it there on the app, and you can watch it when you like, rather than when they screen it, I suppose is what I'm getting around to. The convenience that I sometimes dismay of can be a good thing. People are asking, what are we going to do for the special season? We will be announcing our plans soon enough, he says in a sort of pompous, all-knowing way. I've no idea. We've got some idea what we're going to do and when we're going to do it now. Obviously, as the schedule appears, we'll have more of an idea. But we'll let you know as soon as we can. I want Matt to return. Please, Russell T. Davies. What do you say about that, Charlotte?
Please.
Yes, from your words to their ears, let's hope that's the case. So yeah, get on Talking Doctor Who and let us know what you think of it in the comments section too. We're all ears. Okay, I think let's head back to the main console room.
Go on then.
You're watching Type 40.
You're watching Type 40.
Yeah, cheers for that one. Cheers for that one, Doctor. Yes, one more thing. We've got to round things off before we head off there with one last look at the view screen. It's our regular eye into the temporal schism in search of the prettiest pictures from out there in the Whoniverse fan art, so traditional art and digital art, cosplay and crafting and all manner of things. If you've created it, we want to have a good look at it here. If you're a fan artist or you know a fan artist, you'd love to know what we think of their work, send it to us. Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who, or come and join us in the Type 40 Facebook group. We've got some goodies to look at here before we shoot off. First of all, we've got this one. Now, I think that this is quite unlike anything I've ever seen, but I think the person beneath the fedora and underneath the scarf there looks a little bit like a movie star who you may recognise too, Andy. This is from the Darren Zone. Darren, if you're still in the live chat there on YouTube, this is a bit of AI art. I love this.
I love it.
That's cool.
I
didn't think you liked this, Ian. Why do you like it?
It just says New Who. It says newer Who than what's happening now. Do you know what I mean? And
I get
you know, I mean, I do like the idea that and this is probably the worst thing to say on the Doctor Who channel, but I do like the idea that the TARDIS changes like that from time to time. That would be awesome. Because it looks great in blue. It looks great in blue. But anyway, I just think it's a wonderful piece of art, even if it's done by AI. It's
Have you spotted who that figure seems to be based on there?
Is that Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I think it's Henry Cavill.
Oh, it's like Henry. Henry Cavill.
I think it is.
Yeah.
That's who I decided it was. But I know that both Charlotte and Andy seem to be quite big fans of Henry. What do you think of this, Charlotte?
I'm lucky now you said Henry Cavill. Because I've been trying to figure out myself, because I was like, is this just a pure artistic Doctor, like it's not based off an actor, or is it actually an actor?
I think it's Henry Cavill. Henry. Yeah, I think it looks like Henry.
It looks like Henry.
Well, if Darren is out there, let us know which prompts you put in to Henry Cavill as the Doctor, says Retro Doc. Great. This is a great picture. Garbage asks, does he come back out as Superman?
Probably.
And but yeah, he suspects it could also be could be Hugh Grant, could be your mate Ian.
Oh, well, yeah, Hugh Grant would be awesome. I love Hugh Grant.
But do you know what I love about that outfit? For me, that is such a lovely combination of like slightly newer look Doctor with that old. I think it's just the right amount.
I see. This is the new stuff that I wanted to see in new Doctor Who. But it looks like it's going backwards. But if they did something like this, I'd be pretty happy. But as I said, you know, obviously I'm only one voice.
I like it too. I particularly like the boots.
Yeah, I love it. I think this is the direction Doctor Who should be going in. Something fresh, something new. But obviously we're not getting that. We're getting, you know, 2000s again. But you know, hopefully this version will be good. And we'd like it, so fingers crossed.
I agree, says Lord Thoth. I'm not sure what he agrees with, but
I don't know.
I'm not going to argue with that. But yeah, I thought it was such an unusual piece of art.
I love it.
It's worth getting up on the screen and having a proper look at. And the Darren Zone, if you want to let us know how you created it, it'll be all ears. We want to know. And AI art, we talk about it quite a lot on this show, Andy. Have you got a position on AI art at all?
I mean, it's fine in your lane, I suppose. When people are playing around with it and they're doing stuff like that, I don't see a problem with it. But it's not, you know, I don't think you should ever really lose that human touch, I guess. You know, there's a place for it like everything, but it shouldn't take over or replace like human flair, if you like.
I think the best method is probably a combination of the two, which is where I think that the artist Daryl Joyce excels. Now, he's a traditional artist who's been making brilliant fan art for decades now, and this is one of his latest pieces. He put this one out for Halloween, and it's it's got a Lovecraftian feel to this encounter with the TARDIS. Also reminds me of the Ray Harryhausen films, Clash of the Titans and Jason and the Argonauts, and all that kind of thing. And the little blue box with its light, just lighting up the sand directly beneath it.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that I want to see in this new version of Doctor Who. Something like this, you know, something you've never seen before, something that's beautiful like this. Because this is a beautiful, whether it's AI or whether it's
quite frankly, just get off Earth, right?
I just think that we need to go in another direction with Doctor Who, and these paintings prove that it is possible to go in another direction. But you know, I'd have this on my wall. I think it's great personally, even if it is AI.
Me too. We've got a comment here about the Henry Cavill piece from the artist himself, from the Darren Zone. It says, "Thanks all for your comments. The prompts were man in long coat, hat and scarf, stood by a blue British phone box in the Welsh mountains." It's quite precise. You didn't stipulate an actor then. It just turns out it did look like Henry Cavill quite by chance.
It's Henry.
Thanks for letting us know, Darren. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Everybody loves Daryl Joyce's art. Yeah. Wow. Daryl Joyce. Fantastic, says Ezra Goldstein. Oh, got it. Yeah. Ezra's happy.
As I said, it's a beautiful piece of I'd have that on my wall, definitely. Both on my wall, because they're so nice, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Fabulous stuff. More fan art, as always, on the next edition of Type 40 Live. Lots to talk about, lots to get into, lots of videos coming your way for Whovember here on the channel. Don't miss it. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications. What else? Yeah, you can reach out to us through our social media, Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who, as always, or leave us a comment about all of this. What do you think about Talking Doctor Who? Have you watched it? Have you processed it? Do you feel that they should and could be doing more, that it's just not good enough? Or did it warm your cockles for an hour? We want to know. What do you think about the title to the new Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road, that's coming this Christmas Day, 2023? And do you wish that you'd made it to the Dr. Donathon event at the Genesis Cinema there at the weekend for 14 hours of concentrated David Tennant and Catherine Tate? Let us know in the comment section. We're all ears. Or you can join us in the Type 40 Facebook group with regenerations worth upon regenerations worth of Doctor Who fans there, going through the classic show and the new show, and looking forward to all new Doctor Who on the way in just a few short weeks. That's when it all begins, and we'll be all over it there in the Type 40 Facebook group, day by day, in real time. Okay, I think that about covers it, everybody. Ezra Goldstein says, I agree with Ian. Bloody hell. You sure?
Yeah.
I agree with Ian. I agree with Ian. Doctor Who needs to go in a different pathway. It needs to evolve, doesn't it? Of course, you're right. It needs
to grow up. I keep saying.
And Cliff Maxwell says, Ian, anyone feel it needs to go back to multi-parts and cliffhangers? I suspect that ship may have sailed, but yeah, we've talked about that several times too. I think there's a good strong argument for them doing that, but it looks like it's not going to be the case this time. But maybe next reinvention. Who knows? Who knows? Thanks for all the comments, everybody, and for your likes, your subscriptions, and shares. Don't be shy. Please share this channel. We're going to have a lot of fun over the next few weeks. We want to involve as many Doctor Who fans as we possibly can. Here on the panel, we're bringing not just the regulars, but our friends here from across YouTube and podcasting too, and maybe a few new faces and voices in the mix. Yeah, you're going to want to be subscribed to that, aren't you? Please check you're still subscribed and hit the cloister bell to get the notifications. That's it, everybody. Time for a Jaffa cake, Ian, I think. What do you reckon? You still got any left? You got any, Ian?
I just bought some today. Yeah, love Jaffa cake.
I was joking, Charlotte. I was joking.
I'm not.
So thank you for your company. It's great to have you back as well, Andy. We have to get you on some more over the DW60 season. If you fancy coming on and talking some more time and space,
love to.
And we've got several friends in the live chat. There's been a specific topic because, we've got Richard. I want to acknowledge just Richard Tipple. Hi, Richard. Good to see you, mate. Great stream, guys, from Rich Tipple, colorization artist. There's one big story which we intended on covering on this edition of the show. We haven't because Simon Horton really wants to talk about this with us. It's very much his pet subject, as you know only too well, Richard. He can't wait for this. And so when Simon comes back, then we'll talk about it. We'll go into the exciting news about what Rich and his colleagues have accomplished, and they're going to be giving us on the 23rd of November. It's on BBC 4, isn't it? So fantastic. Good to see you in the live chat, Rich. Always a pleasure, mate. And so we will be tackling that at some point, but I couldn't possibly have talked about it without Simon. I do hope you all understand, everybody. That's it for this one. Back again in just a few days' time with more Type 40 Live. Charlotte, I can't imagine what stories would have broken by then. I don't know if you're going to be in for more. What, Charlotte, Ian, you in for more on Thursday?
Oh, yes.
Well, you always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. You enjoy the rest of the week. We'll see you in a few days. Night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.